Hello students, welcome to the third chapter of the first unit. Today we are going to study about the Gauss theorem, which will provide us an alternative way to calculate the electric field due to a single point charge or due to a group of charges, that is, or due to the continuous distribution of the charge. But in order to do that, first we have to learn about two important physical quantities, one of which is known as the area vector. We already know that area is scalar in nature, but in order to find electric field using this theorem, we need to attach directional property with the area of a surface. Then the area of that surface become vector in nature and we call it as the area vector. So if we have any surface, arbitrary surface, such that its area is equal to A, then its area vector will be defined by drawing a perpendicular to its surface pointing in the upward direction. That is, area vector for any surface is defined with the help of drawing a normal or perpendicular to the surface pointing in the upward direction. If n cap is the unit vector pointing towards the direction of the normal drawn onto the surface, then area vector for this surface A vector, it will be given by A into n cap. So its magnitude of the area vector is equal to the area of the surface and direction given by the normal to the surface, that is and by n cap. If we have any arbitrary surface, if we have any arbitrary irregular shaped surface, then due to irregularity of the surface, we can define many such area vectors which will be pointing in the different directions at different points on the same surface. For example, if we consider a point over here, then a normal drawn onto the surface may point in this direction, a normal present at this point on the surface may point in this direction, or a normal present at this point on the surface may point in this direction. So if the area of the surface is A, then we have defined area vector not for the full surface but only small parts of this. We call these parts as the area element and we define their area vectors as dA. dA means differential part of the total surface area A. So whenever a body will be regular in shape, for example, suppose this flat shape, then its area vector will be always pointing upward direction perpendicular to its surface. Wherever you indicate the area vector, it will always be pointing in the same direction, but for an irregular surface it will be pointing in different direction at different points. So our area vector is a vector quantity which gives us the direction of normal, outward normal drawn to the surface making an angle of a 90 degree. Next we are talking about electric flux. Flux is an important quantity, which means to flow. That means something is flowing. If you remember, in +1 we studied the fluid flow and we found the fluid flux, that is certain amount of the fluid or how much magnitude of the fluid is flowing through a given surface which is held at right angle with respect to the direction of flow of the fluid. So flux of any physical quantity gives us the magnitude of that physical quantity passing through a unit surface area. Similarly, we are employing the same concept in the case of electric field in order to find the electric flux. If we represent a diverging electric field like this, as the field lines are moving away from the charge source, the source may be somewhere over here, you can see the distance between them is increasing, so field strength is decreasing, that is, it is a diverging field. Now if we present this type of surface area in the direction of the field lines such that the surface is held perpendicular to the direction of electric field, you can see almost all the field lines generated by the source are penetrating through the surface area and passing through it. So when we are near the source, field lines are very close to each other and almost all the field lines are passing through the surface area, so strength is stronger. But now without changing the direction or orientation of this surface, I am just going to shift it away from the source. From this point A, I am shifting over here. To the point B. So there you can see that when the same surface is shifted to the point B away from the source, the number of field lines there which are passing through the surface, that has been decreased. And you can also see that the distance between the field line was smaller, so it was indicating stronger electric field. But here not only two field lines are passing, but the gap between them is also increased, so it indicates a weaker electric field. Thus, if we are somehow able to calculate how many such number of electric field lines are passing through a given surface when it is held at right angle with respect to the direction of the field line, then by calculating the number of those field lines we will be able to find out the strength of electric field. Reason, when the number of field lines passing through the surface, they are very large in quantity, obviously the distance between the consecutive field lines will be decreased, it will indicate stronger field. But if lesser number of field lines are passing through the surface held perpendicular to direction of the electric field, then the distance between the consecutive field lines will be increased, which will indicate a weaker electric field. Thus, we can define electric flux from this property, that how many field lines are passing through the given surface area. That is, electric flux through a surface can be defined as the number of electric field lines passing through the surface area when held normally to the direction of electric field lines, and it is measured as the product of electric field strength and the magnitude of the area vector pointing in the direction of electric field lines. That is, electric flux represented by letter symbol phi, it is equal to electric field strength multiplied by the area of the surface. Pointing in the direction of field. So if we have this uniform electric field and a surface like this is held in the path of electric field lines such that normal drawn to the surface, which gives us the area vector A, is also pointing in the direction of field lines, that is A and E are parallel to each other. In that case, flux phi will be simply product of field strength and the area vector. So flux is measured as the product of the field strength and the area of the surface, such that the area vector to the surface also points in the direction of the electric field. So this is a condition that you have to represent or present your surface in the electric field line such that area vector must be pointing in the direction of electric field. If it is not pointing in the direction of the field lines, then we cannot write flux as the product of simply field strength and the magnitude of the area. In that case, what we have to do, suppose we have this uniform electric field E and a surface is held inside it such that its area vector A, normal to the surface, makes angle theta with the direction of electric field. So in this case we have just tilted a surface, so in this case phi will not be equal to E into A, but what we can do, we can decompose A, area vector, into two rectangular components with one component A cos theta pointing in the direction of electric field and another component A sin theta pointing perpendicular to the direction of electric field. It will be there. That means we can say that we had decomposed our surface of area A into two smaller surfaces, one of area A cos theta, another A sin theta. So the surface which is having the area A cos theta, it is held in the direction of the electric field lines like this. This is the electric field, this is the surface, and it has the area A cos theta. But this surface which has the area A sin theta, it is held inside the same electric field like this. This is the electric field and this is the surface, magnitude A sin theta. So in this case, for the first case, this is the surface and electric field is penetrating through the surface like this. So field line must penetrate through the surface, but for area A sin theta, the surface is held like this, so that this is the electric field and this is its area vector. So in this case, no electric field line is actually able to penetrate through the surface area. So in this case, A sin theta component doesn't contribute anything towards the flux. So in this case, flux phi will be equal to product of electric field multiplied by A cos theta, component of the area directed in the direction of field, or we can simply write it as EA into cos theta, or phi can be written as E dot A. So this is the final expression for the electric field. Here we have considered the field to be uniform in nature. But what if the field is non-uniform in nature, or We have considered the surface also to be of regular shape. Also, if the problem is with the surface that it is also irregular in shape, what will happen over there? Suppose we are having this type of diverging electric field, and diverging electric field is there, direction of the field line changes from point to point, and we are having an irregular surface inside this electric field. We want to find out how much flux is penetrating through it, how many field lines are penetrating through it. So in order to do that, we will indicate, select a small infinitesimally small area onto the full surface, and we will define its area vector. Let the full surface area is equal to A, and this small portion which we have considered, which is known as the area element, it has the magnitude dA and its area vector will be dA. So in this case, area vector and field both are inclined at angle theta. So just like over here, we will also decompose dA into two rectangular components, dA cos theta in the direction of the field, dA sin theta normal to the field. Like over here, dA sin theta will not contribute anything, so the flux which is passing through only this much portion, it will be equal to d phi, which will be equal to E into dA cos theta, E dA cos theta, or we can also write in the dot product form E dot dA. So in order to find out the total flux phi, we just need to integrate this equation, which will be equal to integral of E dot dA. But one important point here, when you are integrating this product E dot dA, on this integral sign you have to place a closed ring. This closed ring indicates that here the integration is carried for the closed surface, and above integration is called closed surface integration. So phi is equal to E dot dA.